Let's talk about it.
Hello and welcome back to Thicc Radio, the award-winning podcast where we talk about gaining, fitism, and everything plus size. I'm James.
And I'm Tim, so let's get into it. Today we're welcoming back to the show a good friend of ours. We got Susan back with us.
Hello.
Hey baby, how you doing?
We're doing fine. Just got back from a harrowing Costco run. So that's good.
How
Yeah.
harrowing can Costco be?
Oh my God, I don't understand. Like in the suburbs, it feels like a place of, I think I said like culture and like temperance, but in the one that we've been going to here in Brooklyn, it's like every man for themselves. People would just act crazy. There was a dude climbing through the watermelons trying to find the right watermelon before. People are just hitting people with shopping carts. It's just
Oh, they must think some kind of apocalypse is coming, or the trade war is going to cause us all to go hungry.
Yeah, they're trying to get their bulk order in before the tariffs.
Panic
Right?
Buying. Yep.
I don't know what's going on.
It's interesting times. Interesting times. But you know what? Today we are taking a moment to celebrate a little holiday. Which Tim, it's funny. As we found out so far, these holidays are often imbued with so much culture around food, around family and friendship and energies of the world, and I think that's kind of wonderful. So I'm interested in digging into: is it Mabon or Mabon?
I've heard it pronounced both ways. Mabon, Mabon. I say Mabon because it just looks like that's how it should be pronounced. I don't know what origin of the word is. I don't know if it's French. I don't know if it's Gaelic. So I just go with Mabon.
Okay.
I should have probably done a bit more research as to the origin of the name itself. I know about the holiday because I'm a practicing pagan, but I don't know the actual origin of the word.
Well, look, Tim, as a jumping off point, tell us, what is Mabon actually about?
It's sort of, I often compare it to Thanksgiving because it happens in mid-September, so it's at the September equinox. And even though that's not quite harvest time, a lot of things have been harvested prior to that. You know, like I believe apples are ready to pick in August, right? So like there's some harvesting has been done. So I tend to like associate it with Thanksgiving, like hearth, home, family, food, nesting. That time of the year where, like it's autumn's coming. And I don't know how many other people do this, but I know for me, and it might just be because I'm over 40, um, I feel the urge to nest every fall. Like, I don't have children, so I don't know where this comes from, but I feel the need to like feather the house a little bit and make it a little bit more cozy. So, I'm sure that those are instincts that other people have, and that's probably about the time of year you start to feel it.
It seems biological for sure because it's like, oh, the winter is coming. I have to make
Yeah, maybe it's preparation for hibernation rather than nesting. I don't know. Like if we're gonna make this a bit sexier and gainerish, then yeah, it's preparing for hibernation. It's stocking, it's padding the fat. It's like making sure that you got enough to get through the winter.
It's getting ready for Fat Bear Week. You have to
Exactly.
got to get all the berries in.
Yes. I've expressed this as someone who grew up in the global south. Obviously, our season schedule is the opposite. And so my whole life I've seen holiday films around Halloween and Christmas. And so I know visually what shit is meant to look like. And so when I first moved here and like December was cold and I saw snow, my brain is simultaneously like, this is weird and new, and yet also it's exactly what everyone else in like the global north has been saying that this is meant to be like. And I will say that over the years I've been here in the UK, there is a little part of me that feels like genetically my whiteness is at peace being here. Like it's like the sun isn't trying to kill me, and it's like, oh, this is what this is like.
Oh my God. So, like, I'm sorry, but the way that came out, it was just like, it was like, Whitey, the Return of the Native. Like, that's what it felt like.
It's a reverse colonization.
It's truly.
Wait, actually, is this where I'm meant to be?
Something that was interesting, I know, Tim, you had mentioned Thanksgiving, but apparently one of the other references for Mabon is Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense because it's another period of like celebration and revelry. It's another variation of a harvest where we're starting to gather in other things from the field and we're still having like community out in the open air, kind of enjoying the last vestiges of warmth before we begin to enter into things that are a bit cooler. I believe it's the autumn equinox, harvest home, the feast of ingathering, Mamfawea, which is, I believe, a Gallic or Gaelic version. Unclausur, which is another one. Alban Elfade in Neo-Druidry. Like, it's interesting. There's a lot of, like, verbiage around, like, what this is and what this means to various people. So, we've spoken a little bit about, I suppose, like, what things tend to happen. Tim, you mentioned nesting. Suze, what about for you? Like, what are the kind of things that you find yourself doing at a time of the year like this?
So generally at this time of year, I mean, at the time of year of this festival, so here in New York, it would probably be like the height of apple picking season. If you're far north enough, we have like the cider donuts and the fresh apple ciders that you're getting out a lot. For me specifically, I worked in a haunted house for a long time. So this time of year for me, I would feel a little stressed because we would be in the prep stages for that. And I would be doing a lot of like creating with my friends and getting things all set up for that. That seems to have been what it's been for me for the last like decade or so. And then we have, out on Long Island, when I was there working with the theater and everything, we would take a lot of time on our days off to go out east to where the vineyards are. So we would spend a lot of time out enjoying like whatever the summer wines are that were left over there, or the new fresh ciders or whatever the craft beers were, that kind of stuff. And there tend to be a lot of Oktoberfest sort of festivals this time of year up in New York too. So yeah.
James, I'm curious about something.
Hmm.
Since you grew up in the equatorial South and Australia does not experience autumn the same way North America does.
Not in the slightest.
I know that, but like, is there any kind of like folklore or cultural traditions or understandings that revolve around the autumn time for Australia? Like, for example, here in North America, there's a lot of little folklore things that happen around autumn time. Like, they tell you to catch one of the first leaves falling from a tree and keep it on you to prevent from illness during the winter, or throw a handful of dirt or salt after your children to protect them on their way to school or wherever they're going. Like, is there anything like that in Australia?
So, okay. We learn about the four seasons very contiguously with the Northern Hemisphere, but we just sort of know because we're taught, obviously, from a young age, like, oh, it's opposite schedule. So I know that our cold season is mid-year. And so technically our autumn would be closer to like April, May, technically, right? There isn't really any like tradition or mythos, I suppose, around like how a typical Aussie might experience those seasons. But in recent years, it's actually become quite well known for teachers to talk about the six Noongar seasons. The Noongar are a people group in Australia, and they follow a six-season map. So I suppose if we were to think of it in that context, April May puts us right in Degeran, which is represented by the color green. It's the time of the year when the cooler weather begins. It's the first major break from a lot of that heat, and you see that change with cooler nights that come in. There's a bit of a dewy presence in the mornings. The intensity of the winds will change. Flying ants might start coming around because they're starting to change up their patterns. It's usually a time for things like, I'm thinking like red flowers, like the red flowering gum is one that comes to mind for me.
Which is
And you
probably
often,
not that different from chrysanthemums that would bloom here.
hmm. And also when you think about the sort of topsoil, it's a very iconic kind of ochre that you see a lot of in Australian soil. A lot more of that reddishness tends to come out in the season because of that change of humidity and with the weather. So it's quite a it's definitely a time of relief, I would say, April, May time, because it's sort of like the last 6 months I've been sweating my ass off and now, oh, I step outside and I'm not doing that.
That's kind of awesome. You said they have a sixth season. This is an indigenous peoples in Australia.
Yeah, so the Noongar, is one of the people groups. There's, I think, over 150 identified and recognized independent Aboriginal nations. I know that the Noongar identified a 6-season cycle. I believe a group did on the East Coast as well. I cannot remember their names off the top of my head. But Noongar, Noongar, if you Google the 6 Noongar seasons, you can learn a cool little bit of Australian indigeneity.
Cool. I'm gonna have to look that up when we're done with this.
Something that was actually interesting, I know you'd mentioned about, beer festivals, and obviously I'd said about Oktoberfest, is a lot of the, like, references to what Mabon is meant to be about is about giving fruits of the earth and recognition to the various gods and goddesses, about protection and safety during the winter months. And what's really interesting is that there's a lot of heritage around the idea of alcohol. A lot of the earliest records about the production of beer and varying meads often was not just about supping and getting drunk. A lot of it was about, I offer up this fermentation, this creation of man, to the varying gods and goddesses as a party offering to say, hi, hello, I give you fealty, I think you're pretty cool, I give you a delightful thing for your table, please keep me safe when the cold times come.
Or give it back to the earth. Give it back to the earth itself. Like it was tradition to, if you had an apple orchard and you were in the if you were making cider, to take the first batch of cider and pour it back on the trees, to give it back, to say, I respect this plot of land enough to, it's a symbolic thing. Like a lot of time, the reason I get a little bit defensive about certain symbolisms in pagan culture is because, quite frankly, I have had a lot of criticism lobbed at me by conservative Christians about certain idolatries, as they call it. And I'm just like, dude, it's all friggin' symbolic, right? As someone who was raised a Catholic, I didn't really believe in transubstantiation. I still don't. But if you do believe in it, that's fine because it's still symbolic. You're not actually consuming flesh and blood. It's all symbolic. And it just grates my tits when someone with a very narrow conservative Abrahamic point of view decides to start getting all nitpicky about what the fuck I'm doing.
Mhm. And meanwhile, you're just pouring apple juice on trees. Like, how that,
Like, what does that even matter? Like, just mind your own damn business.
go enjoy your fall. I'm trying to do me.
100. It's actually quite interesting thinking as a Bible college graduate myself. So much of Christian idolatry really comes down to the exact same methods of spiritual practice that every other ancient culture has done since time immemorial. They just think of it as correct because of this homogenized view that Christianity is somehow the one and only true, etc., etc. And we don't need to give them air here. We're talking about the gorgeousness of paganism and Wiccans here today. What are some other notes we found? So, in Wicca, you've got two main rulers. You've got the Holly King and the Oak King, and each of them rules for about 6 months of the year. They battle twice yearly, and they switch over at summer solstice and winter solstice, which of course is height of summer and winter. So currently we're in the time of the Holly King's rule. Holly King is Santa Claus, basically, while the Oak King he goes by a different name. I think a lot of people have been hearing Green Man a lot recently.
Cernunnos, yeah.
Or Cernunnos,
Cernunnos is
Cernunnos.
a very popular name that he goes by.
Yeah,
And,
Greek.
Gaelic.
and then both related to Odin from the Asatru faith of Norse mythology. There are some common symbols that you might see in attachment to a day like this. So the cornucopia, which is the horn of plenty, pine cones and seeds, colors that of course we'll start to see are things like orange, red, yellow, brown, copper, dark yellow, dark green. Common herbs that you might want to consider are things like yarrow, rosemary, sage, mugwort, and rosehips. Stones will look like things like amber, citrine, cat's eye, aventurine, sapphire, and jasper. Flowers, of course, we're looking at things like sunflowers, thistles, and marigolds. Deities that you might look to reference on a day like Mabon are the Green Man, Demeter, Persephone, Morgan, Pomona, and Inanna. And animals of the day will include things like the owl, the stag, the blackbird, and the salmon.
It's interesting to me, this sort of thing, because it does shift into more of an earthy like think about the smell. Like all of these smells kind of are also more in like the Thanksgiving kind of
Yeah. There's a
realm.
smell to autumn. You can smell it on the air. You can smell when it's coming, the change of the leaves, the coming of rain.
You can always
Um,
feel that the wind changes a little bit. Like
mhm.
the winds always dip. It's always so refreshing, but also at the same time you get like that little brief flight of anxiety because you're like, oh, it's gonna be cold so soon. Like
Yeah,
too much.
yeah.
But
Though I feel far less trepidatious about autumn than I do spring. Believe it or not, spring is my least favorite season.
I'm right there with you. I because it's always like, are we done? Are we done yet?
Well, spring just feels very chaotic. Spring is kind of all over the place. It's up and down, kind of makes you feel itchy, gives you cabin fever. Like, I really hate spring.
It's pretty rough up here, and it's generally just muddy and wet the whole time.
Yeah.
You feel the pull to be outside, but you can't quite enjoy it enough yet. Yeah.
One other thing that's often associated with this holiday is it comes from Wicca again, and it's to do with the goddess, like because Wicca is a bit more of a dualistic system where it's like a kind of unnamed goddess and unnamed god. Like you could give any name you want to it, but it's basically the duality of male and female, and they are also locked in a perpetual cycle of life and death and rebirth because this is the point where the god has died. He dies on Lunasa,
Mhm.
and the goddess begins to mourn him on Mabon, and then she passes through the veil on Samhain into the underworld to retrieve him. So this is
Mhm.
kind of like the grief period.
And then that also plays into between Demeter and Persephone having
Yeah.
to return to the underworld during her time spent there with Hades and stuff. And it's, these patterns replicate themselves. It's kind of so cute. She looks like she's about to eat your headphones.
Stop.
Actually, let's talk about Star here for a moment because, Tim, you and your little aura exchanging creature there, um, maybe we should talk about that for a sec because I feel like you are such the witchy character, and yet this cat found you through the cat distribution system. Do you want to tell the quick story here on the pod for the people?
Yeah, we had actually just, in fact, I believe we had just wrapped up doing something with you, Susan, that day. It was you and someone else. I think we had just wrapped up doing something,
Oh,
Yes,
and
Fat Burger. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, we were doing something for the Warren Davis
David.
anthology, and my boyfriend was on his way to work, and then he runs back into the house. He's like, "Come outside, quick, quick, quick!" And I came out with him, and this little ball of fluff was in my garage on top of my lawnmower, and she was flea bitten, and her eyes were swollen, and she had like, a lot of like snot and crust all around her, so she obviously had an infection. But I
Hmm.
took her in immediately. I took her to the vet the very next day. They got me something to clear up the sinus infection and her and the eyes, and they stopped swelling, so she was able to open them properly. And now she's a part of my life.
Oh. Wait, what's her name?
Star.
Oh.
It's actually short for Star Scream.
The Transformer?
The transfer because she wouldn't stop yowling.
Decepticons?
So when I put her in my arms and I was outside, she was fine. She calmed down and she just clung to me. But then as soon as I got her in the house, she just started yowling. And she has a powerful set of lungs for a little girl. I had heard about the
Well,
cat distribution system. I had just never been a recipient of it. Like I've had a cat before, but I intentionally brought that cat into the house. Like a friend of mine was giving away a cat.
hmm,
This one found me totally on her own.
hmm.
So I have to, as a person who is, yes, as you say, a bit witchy and a bit spiritual, I have to assume that somehow she found her way to me by fate's design, and she was meant to find her
Mm.
way to me.
Mm-hmm.
I never told you that. So one morning, I was lying in bed, and I had to stop sleeping nude because she has claws. But
Yes.
I don't sleep with a shirt on, and so I rolled over in bed. She climbed up under the blanket. She found my nipple, and she tried to feed from it. And I'm like, no.
Tim, what I tell you, you keep trying to say that you're daddy. You are not. You are mama. You are mama. God damn it.
Oh, no.
I am not. I'm too hairy to be mommy.
Shut up.
Not for
What do you
her.
think a cat is, bitch?
I was gonna say,
That's fur, not hair.
well,
What do you think fur
I
is?
don't know. I think there's actually I believe there is a structural difference.
Oh,
Find me a physicist. I bet there or a biologist. I bet there's a
shut.
difference.
First of all, shut the fuck up. Second of all, if there is a biologist, physicist, pneumatologist, what the fuck ever you is, who could tell us the difference, write into us at thickradio@gmail.com and let Tim know the truth. That he
mhm.
is mummy. Not daddy, he's mummy.
Whatever.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, we were talking a little bit before about other things that are associated with today. You know, you had mentioned apples, Susan, and apparently apples and grapes are two of the most common harvests that people will use to offer up on a day like Mabon. And of course, the making of apple cider. So, one of the things that Mabon is a good time in terms of observance, like what are the kind of emotions and vibes we're thinking about on a day like this? Mabon is meant to be a good time to set intentions that involve decrease and reduction, such as ending bad relationships, unhealthy habits, or self destructive beliefs. And it kind of makes sense, ultimately speaking, because we are talking about moving from a time of bounty and fruitfulness. We understand that we are now beginning the decline into the winter seasons when we will not have much. So now we need to start making decisions to cut back so that we can survive through the winter. Uh, Susan, let me put it to you. In terms of those vibes, you know, a focus on decrease and reduction, what kind of things might come to mind for you at a time like this?
Well, I'm half Italian, so this would be the time of year where a lot of Italian people would be canning like their sauce for the winter. So you're getting a lot of the last harvests of like if you're growing tomatoes or if you're lucky enough to live near a place where you have access to like farms and fresh produce, you can go get a lot of those like late season tomatoes and stuff. So it's usually like you spend like an afternoon or a Sunday just making like cans and cans and cans and cans of like tomato sauce that you would then freeze for the winter, sometimes in Ziploc bags, sometimes wherever. I know that my partner, an ex of mine, was from North Carolina. They make this kind of like relish stuff called chow chow at this time of year, which is like it's almost like a jardinera kind of. It's like a bunch of root vegetables that they chop up and like make into a kind of vinegary like sauce and leave that canned, usually next to like those sort of things. So, and then you would make like your preserves if you're using like the apples, like you were saying. You make like your apple butters or your apple sauces and just things that would help you subsist through the like leaner months of the winter. And I feel like that's like sort of in keeping with this. But I felt like what we were all saying about Mabon earlier is this specific time is a little bit more about investing in enjoying the fruits of your labor. And then as you get past this, then you start getting towards once you get to the what is it, the autumnal equinox or whatever, then you start doing a little bit more of your like prep work for planning for the later months. Yeah. Is that a signed picture of Bianca Del Rio behind you? Sorry, just
No, it is, because back before I started gaining, um, Bianca Del Rio was, of course, doing the rounds after her win, and obviously everyone was obsessed. I saw her when she first came to Perth, and her very initial tour, because of course it was all very like basic club things. She was just like picking people up who were drunk, putting them in shitty wigs, and making them lip sync. And she picked
well,
up four people, all of whom were shite. And then she said, "I need one more contestant," and I got picked. There is, in fact, a YouTube video of me lip syncing for Bianca Del Rio and her loving me and crowning me the winner.
yeah, I gotta see. You
Uh,
gotta drop the link. I want to see this YouTube link.
so, in thinking of this is a gaming podcast and we're thinking about food, we talked a little bit about, the kind of foods that one might consume or preserve or sacrifice, in relation to a holiday like this. I wonder what can the gaming community learn from a holiday like Mabon? And I do think kind of like what we've been saying, it's an opportunity about celebration and connection, you know? Again, that thought of the winter months are coming, and so I'm probably going to be just at home, keeping to myself and trying to survive. So this is maybe a little bit of a last hurrah before we start to go away for a bit. Do you feel like that kind of makes sense for what you'll do around this time of year?
Mhm.
Yeah, because it feels a lot about preparation, like enjoyment and preparation of things.
And just the way that this time of the year kind of stretches, you know what I mean by that? Like the afternoons feel longer, the shadows stretch longer, and twilight lasts longer. I mean, I suppose to not get too goofy about it, but it's kind of a magical time of the year. A lot of people go on and on and on about the Christmas season, and it's like, oh, it's so magical. It's my favorite time of the year. And I'm like, well, good for you, but not everybody loves all the holly and pine trees and gingerbread men and all that shit. Some of us like some of us like apples and pine cones instead.
The little crunchy leaves on the ground and all that stuff. While you were talking about like the food of the time, this time of year, this is also when we start shifting towards like heartier meals and heartier foods. Like you start doing a lot more of your soups and stews.
Chili. I
Yes.
love making chili this time of the year.
Oh,
Mhm.
true, like good casserole. Oh,
Mm.
so good.
It all tends to be like of those late season like heartier things. Or like all of the pies and things, all those little like turnovers and pastries that start popping up this time of year.
Is chili a thing over in the UK? Do they have chili? Is that a
I assumed so. It's not a thing in Oz. I don't know that I've ever had a chili.
Oh, you should try making it. I'll give you a recipe for one.
Hmm.
Yeah, like
It's
I
kind
hear.
of it's a bit like just again it's a casserole. It's in a thick sauce, so it's not it's runnier than shepherd's pie, right? But it's kind of like shepherd's pie with all of the shit that goes in it.
Mhm.
Except for potatoes. You don't usually put potatoes in it.
And there tends to be
Interesting.
again chili and less like vegetables like that.
Yeah.
Less
It's a
like
tomato
Okay,
base. It's a tomato base for the sauce, and then you can doctor it up any way you want to. And it's traditionally ground beef and beans, but people get wild with it. They try all kinds of
so
combinations.
so so it's kind of like a spaghetti sauce
It's
in a
kind of like a
way,
spaghetti bolognese. It's a bit like a spaghetti bolognese,
but without the
um,
pasta.
without the pasta.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. That's really, to be fair, I was mystified when you made biscuits and gravy for me for the first time. I was mystified by like, first of all, it was morning. I was waking up. Tim greeted me. He was very like, white woman. He was very like, "Hello, James. Good morning." And then he pulled out a
That
melee
bitch,
weapon.
bitch,
No,
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 stop
no.
it.
I'm telling
Stop,
my
stop right there.
story.
Stop. No, 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 no. Because you know damn well that what really happened is you probably walked up to me. It was at my parents' condo. It was
Uh-huh.
probably 8 o'clock in the morning. I had probably only slept for about 4 hours. I was probably high off my tits, and I
That's true.
probably coughed and
That's
said, "I'm
true.
making you biscuits and gravy."
Yeah, but like all I'm saying is I was nice and serene, and then Tim pulls out a melee weapon. He hits the counter with it, and it exploded. And I was like, "What the fuck?" Y'all go on about
Oh, the
gun
biscuits in a
violence, but
can.
baby, it
Yeah.
starts in the home. It starts in
Oh,
the home.
He didn't. He didn't. They don't sell bread in a can over there, right?
No,
Okay.
no, they don't.
Yeah, he
Not in
hadn't seen
thick.
bread in a can. That was the problem.
no, you've never done, like Pillsbury Grands biscuits or whatever. So this is your first time experiencing a firework of a like pastry.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it's no more so than like a Christmas cracker. Come on, it makes the same.
Anyways,
I could
if
see
I'm
how it'd be traumatizing having never experienced it before, just after waking up early in the morning.
Yes, that part. That part. I was living my Snow White fantasy. The birds were singing. I was
Mm.
gently walking through the
Bitch,
house
did you think I
wearing.
was gonna make you buttermilk biscuits from scratch?
Well, I don't know what the fuck a buttermilk biscuit is. Once again, I did not know. I had no point of reference. It means nothing to me. When you say you're making me biscuits and gravy, that could mean 50 million different things. I don't. Well,
It
now
takes
I
too
know.
long to
I
make
didn't
biscuits from
then.
scratch. It takes too long to make biscuits that way.
When he said you came at him with a weapon, I was expecting it to be one of those, like the biscuit dough, like they look like claws, like you like
Oh
chop,
yeah, the pastry cutter. Yeah.
yeah, that thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's
See,
like
now
breath
that would have been camp. That would have been fun.
If I had attacked you with a pastry cutter.
cathartic.
Well, yes, that's
It's
how we do things in Thicc Radio.
You just come down in the morning and I just toss a pastry cutter right in your face. I hate that shirt.
Hmm.
See? See, now that would have been nice and direct. Um, but back on the subject of Maven, something that I was thinking about, right? Like the ways in which gainers could learn something from a day like this. And we were talking before, this is the part of starting to do reductions, starting to do the lessening. And like I understand gainers, maybe there's like a like calm down, it's okay. But as you were saying about things like the soups and the stews, maybe it's a season in which we start pivoting to the different types of vegetables that we might be consuming and the ways in which we might therefore add calories to our meals.
Good root vegetable pie. If you've never had one of those, look up a recipe for it. Like they are damn good, and they are calorie heavy because they contain carrots, turnips, potatoes, like all the carbohydrates.
Yeah, most of these bitches, you dice them up nicely, you saute them in some garlic, onion, and butter. You chuck a little white wine in there if you can swing it, baby. They will suck all of that gorgeousness up. You put her in a pie crust if you've got one to spare. You do a little egg wash over the top. You serve that with a side of mashed potatoes. Like, come on, gravy, baby. Like, it's a.
I know that these are popular in Michigan. I don't know how popular they are other places in the United States, but pasties, if you've never had a pasty before, it's kind of like again a shepherd's pie, but it's wrapped in dough rather than
Yeah,
being a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
standalone thing. Like it's your meat, your root vegetables. Sometimes they add cheese, sometimes they don't. But
Yeah.
in that very kind of tomato Worcestershire, I can never say Worcestershire
It's
sauce.
stop. It's Worcester.
Worcester
I
sauce,
think it's
whatever.
only Worcester when it's the place. I think when it's the sauce, it's like Worcestershire sauce or something.
No, no, baby, it's Worcester sauce. But like,
That's
I
because
appreciate.
English is bullshit. That's why.
I know that. I'm not pretending like I don't know that.
Right.
Um, God damn. No, something else I will say here, right? Because we were talking about that thing of reduction, right? And like the things that we can start to do. Like other products you are going to see on the shelves here, North, continental, contiguous, all that bullshit. You're going to see a lot more long life foods. Right, and it's actually going to be good to stock up on more of those long life foods. Again, things that are preserved, things that have been pickled a little bit more. Those things are going to maintain flavor. Those are going to have good nutrients for you in the winter months. And as we've been saying, a lot of it has calories kind of already built into it. Like it's good to use and it's good to repurpose.
Would this be like mulled wine season? I'm not much
Oh
of a
yeah, definitely.
but
I think
like
Definitely.
so.
simmer pot mulled
Absolutely.
wine this time of year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost think maybe I guess in my mind I think of mulled wine specifically as a winter thing.
Yeah.
But we were just talking about cider, so like mulled ciders.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about orange peel, cinnamon, mace, and clove, maybe a little bit of nutmeg as well. I'm thinking some real
Splash
rich
of
flavors.
whiskey.
Yeah, my
Mm,
friends, we do a lot of hot toddies this time of year.
Hmm.
yes, yes. And honestly, I know people do that thing where it's like it's alcohol, it's great for you when you're unwell. But like, no, seriously though, like a hot toddy is good when you are feeling a little under the weather. Like a honeyed mead is going to be really, really good for you, delicious. Add that as a
Have you guys
splash of
ever
things.
had have you guys ever had it's a brand of mead. It's called Viking's Blood.
No, I haven't even heard of it, to be honest.
I really like it. A lot of people complain that it's too sweet, that the scent and the taste of the honey is very heavy, but that's what I like about it. It's I mean, you can smell the honey right away, and it can be very overpowering, but I love it. Like it's not as sweet as it smells.
Hmm.
Yeah, but like that's vanilla. Like, baby, if you licked straight vanilla bean or like doused some vanilla extract, it would make you sick. It is way too intense. It has to be tempered by something else to make it wonderful. So I see absolutely no problem with a honeyed mead being like sickly. Okay, candles. Sometimes I don't want to light a candle because whatever the combination of perfumery they've put into the wax is fragrant enough without burning it. And sometimes when you burn it, you actually lose a lot of that scent.
Hmm.
So I think it's a similar kind of concept. Sometimes you don't need to have it to drink it. Sometimes like a little distill, a little scent, like baking cookies and like deliberately like walking with the tray around your house to like waft gorgeous scent through the space. You know?
I don't really feel like with this crowd, a lot of those cookies would get past the kitchen once you took them.
Yeah.
Like I said, I feel like that is asking a lot out of out of
A
Have you
lot
Billy.
guys
out of
ever
these heifers, yeah.
have you guys ever had or made pumpkin cookies before?
Pumpkin cookies.
No.
Uh, I mean, yes, I've had pumpkin flavored cookies, but what do you mean by pumpkin
Well,
cookies?
it's basically that, pumpkin flavored
Oh,
cookies. But the specific recipe that I did, I used to do it every year, and people would like beg me to make them. Like I made one time,
Okay.
I made this huge basket. I mean, I swear to God, there had to be like 90 cookies in this damn basket. And that was a gift to all the bartenders at one of the local bars for Christmas. I was like, because we were there every goddamn night. So I was like, as a thank you, like, and they couldn't stop eating them. I should
mm,
make them again. I haven't made them in years. I used to make them. I used to make gingerbread. I used to do apple pie. I need to get back into all that.
Ginger snap cookies.
yes.
That would be good for a time like this. Now, I'm not a big fan of gingerbread. I don't like soft ginger. Something about the flavor of ginger, like I need a biscuit that is hard, and I literally need to crack it. I need it to snap, a proper ginger snap. That
Oh,
I like.
they had these cookies by me at this bakery. They called them hermit cookies, and they were like a molasses ginger like type of cookie with walnuts and pecans in them. And like I crave that at this time of year. And they haven't made them in a long time. I don't know if maybe the person who had the recipe left the bakery or passed or something, but I think about them all the time. They were like one of
Damn.
those cookies that wasn't like a snap, it was like a hearty, kind of like a not quite doughy, but like it had a lot of softness to it. Yeah, this feels like a very this
I
time of
forgot all about pumpkin beer. This is the time of year that pumpkin beer is out all over the friggin' place, and it's extremely popular here in the United States.
What is
And
pumpkin beer? Beer made
it's
from
beer
pumpkins.
made from pumpkins, and that tastes like pumpkins.
they use like the
Interesting.
pumpkin spice blend in the brewing of the beer, so it
Yeah,
has that.
but they also sometimes use actual pumpkins in the brewing. So like Southern
Okay.
Tier makes a brand called Pump King, which that shit's magical. If you have the opportunity to get it from the draft wherever you're going out for the evening, fucking do it. That beer is so goddamn good. Um,
Okay.
there's another brewery called Fatheads, and they make a beer called Bumbleberry around this time of the year,
Bumbleberry.
which tastes like apple crumble. That's what it tastes like. And I swear to God, this is one of the
Mmm.
most delicious beers I've ever tasted. Like it is sweet, so if you don't like sugary beer, then you won't like it. But if you don't mind like a
Mmm.
dessert craft beer, this
I
shit is so
love
fucking
a
good.
dessert beer. I was just thinking, I make an apple cake, and I've been thinking maybe I should get back into making it. Like, it is mandolined nice and thin, and you basically make like a cinnamon custard cake batter that everything gets tossed together. You layer it up nicely in a buttered lined pan, you bake it, you let it sit for a bit, like waft off all that excess moisture, put it back in the tin, refrigerate it. Don't have it hot, because the layers are so thin that if you have it while it's hot, like she'll fall apart when you try to cut it. So you got to let it firm up in the fridge overnight. Bring her back out. You can cut a slice as thick or as thin as you want. But when you lay that bitch on the plate, like you see all of those layers of like custard cake, apple in it. And of course, what you have to do, because it's very sweet, you have to put a fresh scoop of vanilla ice cream on top of it. And then you put a little bit of toffee sauce on top of that with a little sprinkling of mint on top of it.
Mint? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when you have
Yeah.
something ridiculously sweet, it helps. Like mint will always like cut the sweetness of it.
Little sharpness.
That sounds good. I want to try that.
There you go.
What would we do? This is like a tomato galette type of season because I'm more on the savory side of things. So you get like the pie crust, you get those like those ugly tomatoes that taste the best, you know?
Mhm.
They're all
Yeah, or like beef tomatoes, like they're big fucking
oh no,
honkers.
they're big, but they're misshapen. They can be all sorts of colors. They're like yellow, purple,
Mhm.
red. And
Interesting.
yeah, you cut those smooth, you wrap the like pie dough over it with a little bit of like whatever sort of soft cheese you like to bake with. And then like if you have like some asparagus or some like parsnips or some sort of like a more rooty vegetable, throw that on there.
Beetroot.
I want to
Yeah.
do that onion tartlet thing that you did, James, where
Oh
you
yeah, the
assemble
upside
everything on the
down
bottom,
tartlet.
the upside down tartlet. Yeah, I want to give that a try.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's very straightforward, like surprisingly simple. Basically, like It helps, like, when you've got the parchment paper, if you kind of plan and maybe, like, mark out a little bit, like, this is where I'm going to put the length of it, so you can kind of plan for it. But basically, you, like, drizzle the section with oil, put the seasonings, and then you layer onion, tomato, beetroot, cheese, whatever it is, all of that, rah. And then you put the pastry over the top of that, fork it down onto the baking paper, so that when all of that moisture inside of it has nowhere to go, it goes up through the dough, so it like kind of like filters all throughout with the crust. And then because it's on baking paper, it's actually very simple. Like flip it over, pull paper off, and you've got this gorgeous little tartlet ready for eating.
Ooh, that sounds kind of, and I mean, that also sounds like it's not too much effort to do. I'm gonna think about that.
It's very low effort, and because of the way of doing it, it means you're not like having to contend with like tins of a certain size and preheating trays. If you've got like a finicky oven, it's literally flat sheet paper, bullshit on top, bake. Very nice, very minimal cleanup. They
Nice.
don't always look the neatest on top because obviously it's all a bit, squished down from the thingamajig. But like, no, very, very tasty, easy to make a whole bunch of them. Great little party favor, and just very, very tasty. And look, I know some people are very like short crust pastry, and like I think short crust has her place. I am so here for the phyllo, the flaky pastry. Like I kind of want to, I do actually want it to make a little bit of a mess. Like just like that explosion of pastry goodness, and you're like picking it up from the place. So good.
Well, now I'm hungry. I have to start making some of this.
If we achieve nothing else with these episodes, let it be known that we are here to make you hungry and, of course, fat. So please, listeners, if you feel inspired to try any of these things that we've discussed here on this episode, please let us know. Write into us at thiccradio@gmail.com, comment on our social media posts, and let us know what you have made for this Mabon season. Well, listen, Susan, today is Mabon. What will you be doing today to celebrate the day?
As a Maven, I think I'm gonna go try to get me some cider donuts or something. You've put me on the mind for apples, so I want something appley and something cinnamony. I may have to go out and see if I can rustle me up some of that. I really want to try that thing you're talking about with all the mandolin apples. That
Yes.
I'm gonna be thinking about that one. I'm gonna be thinking about that one a lot.
Girl, I will send you the recipe. Don't you worry about that.
Yes.
Tim, what about you? What are you going to be doing on this Mabon day?
I'm going to bake, which is something that I have not done in a very long time, and I want to get back into doing it. It was something that I used to love doing. Um, I don't know why I lost my passion for it, but I want to try and wrestle it back. So I'm going to make an apple pie, which I have made many, many, many times, and I'm going to make some cinnamon. No, I'm going to make some oatmeal raisin cookies because I have a craving for them. I don't usually crave them, but I really am craving them for some reason.
That would be nice.
Yum. I am going to make my apple cake, but something else that I think I might make, because it does contain apple, is my vegetarian nut roast, which, again, that conversation around things of the season. So it's got leek, thyme, pitted dates, whole chestnuts, sage and some breadcrumbs, Granny Smith, some, cashews and peanuts as well. But it all gets lovingly blended together, and the actual flavor profile, because you get this caramelly apple flavor that runs through it. There's something that's reminiscent of a pork roast to it because of the chestnut cashew kind of mix. It gives it a very earthy flavor.
It's a blended thing.
Yeah, so obviously, like, you'll get your various components, like you'll break up the chestnuts, dice up the dates and all that other kind of stuff. And it all gets mixed together. Because it's a vegetarian nut loaf, it ends up, formulating kind of like a meatloaf situation, so it all goes in the tin, wrapped in a pastry, whatnot. But you wind up with this really gorgeous Wellington style thing that is good. This is real good.
That sounds pretty good. Wait, link me that recipe too. I'm looking for.
Yes, I will. Um,
Yes, so I'm looking to do more exploration with open fire cooking.
yes, and maybe that's the hint we'll send out to the listeners for this Maven season. Now is the time to start experimenting. I think a lot of us find gorgeous recipes on Instagram and TikTok that we filter away somewhere, and we go, "I'll make that eventually," and then we never do. Take this as your challenge, as Maven season 2. give those recipes a try. Find some new and gorgeous things to really entice you to make delicious food and stay home on the couch, get warm, and really enjoy yourself this Maven season. But this has been a really fun episode, Susan. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, thank you for having me, as always. I love these little chats.
Of course. Now, where can our listeners find you online?
I'm on Instagram at laissezsusan. That's Laissez, Susan, like the woman's name. That's if you search that anywhere, it'll probably be me.
Perfect. Well, that's a wrap for now here on Thicc Radio. Please remember to like and subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and leave us a good review. If you liked this episode, the podcast, our guest, or just us in general, please share it with your friends and encourage them to tune in. You can find me on Instagram and BlueSky at stannnum.
And you can find me on Instagram at thiccymouse and Grommr at Orpheus. You can also find us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Thicc Radio, or visit our website at podpage.com/Thicc Radio. If you want to become a financial supporter of the show, you can donate through our PayPal account, and you can always email us at thiccradio@gmail.com. So until next time, bye, Fats.
Bye, Fats.
Goodbye, Fats.
Let's talk about it.
Thicc Radio is a Spotify podcast.
Artwork, media design, editing, and production by James Heinsohn.
With original theme music by CYMK.